So, why should I care about social media? Can I have a show of hands of people that actually use social media, like for personal use? Right? Can I have a show of hands of people that use social media for marketing purposes, so for their business? Okay, I was going to ask as well if how many of you use Facebook ads for marketing? Okay, okay. Oh, okay, cool. All right, so we have a quite a big range of people, people who are just using it for personal reasons, and some have actually gone so far as to actually run ads on Facebook. This will be a really good reminder to for those who are a bit more advanced as to the kind of organic things that they can use. So that means that they don't have to pay money, use to like really bring their social media portfolio to the next level. And you can do a lot even without paying money. And we're going to be going through that today. So why should I care about social media? I was asking myself the other day, how am I going to convince people to use social media? And I realized that unless you understand what social media is from an objective standpoint and not from a preconceived notion of it being a plaything that young people use nowadays, like you're not going to be able to take social media seriously. And because of that, you're not going to be able to give social media the respect that I think it deserves, because I feel that it is such a beautiful thing that's been given to us that that it'd be such a waste if we don't make use of it. And in order to get you guys to understand and to see it from an objective standpoint, Steve Jobs has a really good quote. He says that you cannot understand what's happening today without first understanding what came before. So we cannot understand why social media can be a legitimate tool for advertising if we do not look at the history of advertising. So we're going to go off on a small tangent now, but I think it's going to be an important one. In 1472, all right, the first ever recorded print ad was for books, and it was tacked onto church doors. And and the reason why it was put on church doors was because it was during a time where the church's influence was really high, and that it was one of the very few places where a mass number of people were gathering at. In 1892, the first ever recorded billboard was for a circus company, and it ran 50 square feet high on the side of a building. And that was during a time where there were a lot of high-rise buildings. In 1941, the first ever recorded Continental TV ad, which had no sound, by the way, and it was only in black and white, was for a watch company called Bulova. Why? It was because it was during a time where television sets were getting more and more affordable. There were a lot more TV shows that were being produced. And so people started paying attention to TV ads more. And you can see, even though these are just three examples, all throughout history, people's attention have shifted. Different platforms have been used. If you look around you right now, you can see where are people looking at. If you walk down the street, if you're in the bus, you're on the tram, like where are people looking at right now? Is it on buildings? Is it on their phones maybe? It's always on their phones. It's on social media. And so like when I first realized this, I was like, oh my gosh, like we are living in a time where the thing that gives us the most attention is also the thing that's most accessible to us. Like normal people like you and me can compete with big brands that have unlimited budget. We can still get people's attention by using social media. That's how good it is. And if we don't take advantage of that, it's going to be such a waste. And also, don't think that's going to be this way for forever. Once big companies pour all of their marketing budget into social media, people like you and me will find it a lot harder to reach our audience. Right now, most companies only spend 20% of their marketing budget on social media. It's not going to be that way forever. So now we're going to look at, okay, what kind of content ideas can I come up with, and how can I go about thinking of that? And for this part, we're going to have Looney to go through it.
Cool. So in content brainstorming, if you go to the next slide then. So this is a question we get a lot from clients. Like, everyone says that I need a social media strategy, but how do I even get started? Good question. So how you get started, first thing is you need to know your target audience. A few ways to do this. The first thing is to construct your buyer persona. So buyer persona is this semi-fictional character that represents your ideal customer. And you have to know what they do, what they like, what are their traits, what do they value. All of these things really are really important for you to construct this image, this audience in your head. And you may be asking, how do I even do this? So one way that you can do this is to just ask your sales team, ask the people that's on the front line, that's in touch with the customer, and ask them of some observations that they've noticed about them. Or maybe you yourself, you've been in contact with customers a lot. You can find a way to do surveys, to research them a bit better. Look at your existing customer base and ask them questions that will help you answer this. But another way that you can do is you can also look into social media analytics to understand your existing customer, your existing buyer persona a bit better. If you go to the next slide then. So this is where you can look into the social media insights right on Facebook and Instagram itself. So if you have a Facebook business page, in Facebook Insights, if you look into people, you can actually see which country they're from, city, even the language they're using, and the gender. All of these are available to you for free. And same on Instagram. So if you have an Instagram account that's not a business account, I would definitely recommend you guys switching it to a business, because there's so much more analytics that you can access when you get to an Instagram business account. These are just some of them. You can look up the top location. You can see the age range. So let's say, for instance, for our construction company, it's interesting to see that even though we always see a lot more women in social media users, but the followers of the construction company are mainly men and around after 30 years old, which makes sense because that's what they're more interested in. But it will be very different for every single client. So look into your own target audience. And another easy way to do that is just look at your followers. So if you have Instagram, look at Instagram followers. If you have Facebook, look into their profiles, look into the Facebook users that are following you, because they are the people that show interest in you, and see if there's an observation, like observe to see if there's a commonality, there's a trend, or there's a traits that they have. So help you to understand your audience a lot better. So that's how you can construct your buyer persona. If you go back to the previous slide then. The next step, after you know your ideal target audience, is to actually divide it into different segments. So what does this mean? Segments are just smaller parts. So it can be demographic segments, something like your gender, your location. So let's say Gillette, they sell razors, right? They sell razors to both men and women. But the way they would market the razor would be very, very different to these two different segments, just because men and women shave differently. Segments can also be psychographic segments, so something like your attitudes, your beliefs, or your values. So let's say a car company, even if they're marketing the same brand of car to two group of audience who have very different perceptions of luxury lifestyle versus practicality, then obviously if I'm marketing to someone who value practicality more, I would sell more of how it's gas, like it can save a lot of gas, it's eco-friendly, things like that. These are values and features that this group of audience would really, really believe in. So when, be it you're creating content or you're doing ads, you really need to think of the audience in your mind, write down your audience, your buyer persona, and divide them into segments. And the last part is to create and target them with tailored content. So this is really, really crucial. We're gonna do a simple exercise here where we'll be pulling out a whiteboard and we'll be drawing a buyer persona. So who's happy to share one of their business buyer persona, if this is something that you've been thinking of and you're happy to share it with everyone? So we sort of want everyone to get involved, and then we can drill down a bit more and discuss who's happy to share their buyer persona and a bit of their business as well.
Okay, cool. Leah, I'm gonna unmute you. Yep, cool. Can you tell us who is your target audience?
Well, I have two businesses. One of them is still not really trading because of the restrictions on events, but the other one does a range of pasta sauces, fresh pasta, pre-made Italian meals.
Okay.
And so I guess I have 3 different target audiences for that business. I have the younger person who perhaps doesn't quite like to cook for themselves but enjoys homemade meals.
Okay.
I have the family who wants a quick, easy, working mum wants a quick, easy meal during the week. And I've also found I have a surprising number of older ladies who want to have time off so they can go off and do things and leave a meal for their husband. So I've found just through talking to my customers and looking at comments on postings, etc., that seems to be the 3 groups. So depending on what I'm doing, I can target to any or all of those.
Yeah. So if you would say, like if you're targeting to the young people, what do they find appealing about the pasta, or like what are they valuing?
Some of the things that I find appealing is the fact that because I'm based in farmers markets, I'm using local produce, it's low, food miles, all those sorts of eco-friendly kind of, what would the word be, credentials for the product. And also there seems to be like the fact that it's authentic. My husband's family had restaurants in Italy for over 50 years, and so many of the recipes have come from that, and they like that connection with, so they like the combination of tradition and sustainability.
Makes sense.
Yeah, so we want to be able to narrow in on just one of your segments. So maybe we look at, okay, we'll go with the first one, the younger one, right? So where are they normally located? Like, are they in the city more, or in
Yes, generally the Barossa is a little older demographic, but the younger customers more so in the city. Yes.
And what kind of interests do they have? Like, are they into, what do they have with them normally? Maybe their phones in their hands?
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, what else? Like, how would you, in your head, how would a stereotypical young person look like? That's also your target audience.
In terms of physical appearance, you've got the phone, definitely. Quite often more casually dressed, like.
Okay. Maybe sneakers.
Oh yeah, or jeans, that sort of thing. Not formally dressed.
Okay, that's okay. No.
I see we're challenging your drawing skills there.
Very much so.
Quite often doing things like carrying their own shopping bags, like the reusable.
Oh yeah, tote bags.
Yeah. And quite often in small groups. Like it seems to be a bit of a social outing to go to a farmer's market.
Oh, yep. How do you draw farmer's market?
No, that's great actually, because that really paints the image of how this person look like, how this group looks like. And when you're creating content for them, this can be things that like you can talk about all these sort of things that are relatable to them, and you can call them up in your copy as well. Like if you guys think about it, like I want everyone to get involved in this as well. Like what sort of content do you think will really relate and resonate with this young group of people who like pasta sauce, who goes to farmers market? I'll unmute.
I see that Dee has raised her hand.
So maybe images of young people coming together and sharing a meal, sharing your meal with you, or going to the farmers market and chatting with you, learning more about you.
Yeah, that's really good as well. Like I'm showing people what that process is gonna look like. That fun thing of going to the farmers market, purchasing a homemade pasta sauce. You know, this is a generation that is a little bit more hipsterish. They want to be a bit different. They don't want that store-bought kind of generic thing that you find in the supermarket. They want something that has character. They want to be able to, you know, in their jeans and with their tote bags, go to the farmers market and be with like 2-3 other individuals, and then also buy their pastas and then look at other knickknacks that they have at the farmers market, and then come home and make a really nice authentic dinner and that they can post on social media. So like I think it's really important to have these buyer personas in your head, so that whenever you create a piece of content, you can think, okay, let's just call this person Jason. Like, how would Jason like this piece of content I'm putting up? Would Jason like this? Like, would it resonate with him? Like giving people, like giving your segments, your target segments, a persona, a actual name, will make it a lot easier for you to put out quality content that actually connects with people, you know, not just very generic things like, oh, happy Monday, kind of thing, you know. Like you want things that are more personal, because people care about personal. People are so used to looking at social media content now, and they have such a high like a bullshit meter. Like if they don't see something authentic, they're just gonna ignore you. It doesn't stand out anymore to them.
And I think Kev brought up a good point that farmers market patrons want to know the authenticity before purchase. But once they know that, they're happy to purchase somewhere else outside the market, like online, for example. So this young generation are people that will be more accepting towards the purchasing online concepts, as long as they know that it's the same product that has the same authenticity. So knowing the behaviors and you know the trends and the traits of this generation, it's so important for you to know whether you can sell this way like online to them as well.
That's why I think being able to tell the story for your pasta sauce, being able to show them the process of actually making it at home or wherever, I think that's going to be very important. And then in order to scale, then you can start bringing it online, and then but people still can connect with that story already of how you started and how much love and how much effort that you put into it. Okay, and then you can do the same sort of thing for what we did for family and for older people and for just all kinds of different industries. And you can always make it more specific, like where they are, what are they wearing, what kind of brands they're wearing, what do they have in their hands, like, you know, do they wear a type of hat. Make it as specific as you can, so it becomes very clear in your mind when you're making content. So maybe we can just continue on.
Sure, I'll share my screen. So after understanding the buyer persona, here's a case study that this is a client that we've pitched to before. Inquibox is a subscription box startup that provide toys and DIY projects for kids. So main audience-wise, it's very similar. It's moms who want kids to have fun and learn new things at the same time. But if we break this moms who have kids and have to have fun, So they can be working moms, they can be moms who need play ideas, or like moms who are stuck at home during COVID and just running out of ideas for their kids. And also just moms with naturally curious kids. But the way you market the product, the way you market the subscription box are very, very different when you market it to these 3 segments. For working moms, I would sell more of the convenience of the product, that it can be delivered right to your doorstep and your kids can have fun playing at home while you work away in the office. For moms who need play ideas, because they want to play with their kids, they want to have that interaction. So I would sell more of that interaction that you can get between you and your kids. You guys can have fun together, feature other moms and kids who are having tons of fun when they buy the subscription box. This would be the main feature. But for mom with naturally curious kids, I would sell more of the feature of the box itself, like what's the different themes of toys and DIY projects. Maybe there's a bee one, there's one for a space themed toys. So things like that, because this moms want to know what's in it for the kids. And maybe the copy can be something like educational shows in Nick Jr. just uncutting it for you. This is for you. So something like that. What I wanted to stress about is that, like, even though in your head you think that it's the same audience, but if you segment it, it can be very, very different people, different trends, different traits and characters. And that's where you really need to tailor your content for them. Okay, so in this slide, I'm going to talk a bit about, after you understand your own target audience, now it's really important to know who your competitors are and do a proper competitor analysis as well. So first, knowing who they are, knowing what social channels are they on, how much do they engage with their audience, how often do they post, maybe what sort of content is resonating with their audience, what are their strengths, what are their weaknesses, and these are stuff that you can learn yourself. So a quick way to do it, like you may be asking me, how do I do this, right? How do I even find out? Okay, I'm gonna X out. So I wanted to show you guys a way that I usually do it myself. So let's say, because for our construction client, I'm just going to use that as an example. So let's say if I type in construction companies Melbourne. So I usually just Google keywords of what our clients or what the business is, and then I'll look up the top few. You don't necessarily have to look up the top few, but I'm just using it as an example. And then I'll go to their social media channels. I'll go to their Instagram to have a look. And what you can see here, okay, Veghan Constructions, they post different stuff. So on Instagram, even though you can't see likes on your mobile anymore, desktop, you can still see that. So it's a good way to see how their content is resonating with their audience. So this is 100+ likes. Okay, quite a few comments. Their audience seem pretty engaged. So if I were to see this, I'm a new construction company starting out, then I would think that, okay, people seems to be interested in project progress, right? They seems to ask questions. Oh, okay, cable. So this other stuff, this is where you can get your first content ideas, or just understand a bit more about who your competitors are. And if you think about it, even if you feel that your competitors aren't local based, or you can't find any other good ones in the local area, that's fine. Like sometimes for me to get inspiration, I'll look up social media agency LA or social media agency California, because USA has lots of really, really big business that do really well in social media. So that's a good way to get started as well, just to get inspiration and see what other people are doing. But really look into their social channels and see what's working for them. So in the next tip here, 3 tips for competitor analysis. The first one is to inspire, but not copy. So like what I say, know your top 10 competitors, look into their profiles and get inspiration from their content. You don't necessarily have to copy them exactly, just because your audience is always slightly different and you know your audience better than anyone else. So use their content as inspiration and tailor it to your own audience, the first point. The second tip is to find and fill the gap. There might be points where they aren't doing as well, or there may be sections that they are doing really, really well, and you see that their audience resonate really well with this type of content, then use that type of content more for yourself. But last but not least is just to keep at it. So consistency is king, and a lot of times you may feel that I've just started, no one's looking at my content. But when you really start to post content consistently and just put things that you know that your target audience will resonate with or will really like. That's really, really important as well. And just keep doing what you're doing, because at the end of the day, it's a long game. Like social media branding, if we're talking about organic content, it's really a long game, and it's not something that you can gain likes and followers or engagement in just like 1 month time. So in this slide, we're going to do a quick activity for everyone and let you guys do a competitor analysis as well. So back to the case study of Inquibox. So we've looked up another competitor called KiwiCo. So I want you guys to take out your mobile phone. If you guys have Instagram installed, does everyone has Instagram installed? Go to Instagram and look up these two accounts. So if you guys don't have Instagram on you right now, this is Inquibox. Just make it a bit smaller. And I'll switch to KiwiCo in a bit. And I want you guys to tell me, what do you like and not like about these two accounts? Like, are there things, if you are a subscription box startup yourself, what would you do? What would you not do? And this is KiwiCo. If you do have Instagram on your phone, I would recommend looking into it on your phone as well, just because there are some features that are only available on mobile for Instagram that aren't available on desktop. Cool. Who's ready to do some sharing? What do you think about these two accounts? What can we learn from it? What's working, what's not? Maybe just put an emoji if you're, put a reaction if you're ready, and then can unmute you guys. Then can you? Then can you please unmute?
Yeah, did you want to share, ZB?
Yeah, just looking at the Inquibox, it's a positive but maybe a negative at the same time, in that they stick with the sort of similar colors, which for their regular followers, maybe they might like that, but for everybody else, you can look at that and say, oh, it's that company, and sort of move on to the next thing.
Yeah.
I like the color with the KiwiCo.
Yeah.
I like that they've got, everything is bright and cherry, but we also have got a mixture of videos and still photos, but also some, I guess, the wordy posts.
Yeah.
So it's not all, one
Just
color. It's not all talking at you. It's, fun videos, still pictures, and a bit of, what you might need to read here and there.
Yeah, no, that's great, because KiwiCo really has an authentic view by using actual human, actual kids, rather than just using more static stuff or like just graphics created. It just give you that more connection. I think Kev wanted to share as well.
I think you've said it all. The KiwiCo is more authentic and relates to people, which is who we are. rather than just gimmicky graphics that won't take me anywhere or won't spark my interest at all. Yeah.
For sure. And if you notice, they even have like little cute videos of the kids, and like those videos just make you intrigue you better, like intrigue users better, and you just want to check out who they are, what they do, things like that as well. Anyone else want to share their insights or findings?
I also like the way the Kiwi one tries to engage by asking you a question. If you could speak any language, what would it be? So
yeah, for sure.
Respond to them rather than just be passive.
Yeah, because this, if you notice the engagement, there's like 64 comments as compared to others where it's like 12-8. So when you ask that question, that's definitely really important, because people are commenting some of their language, and when you have more comments on your post, it means that more people are going to see it as well, because that's how the algorithm works. So that's definitely a really good point.
Yeah, maybe Amanda wanted to share as well.
I think like the Kiwibox, for when you're being lazy, most people on Instagram, you don't want to have to think about or infer what the content is saying. So like the Inquibox, you really have to think about what they're saying. So 6 innovations that enhance our senses. I'm like, oh, I haven't got time to think about that. Like if you're a busy mum sort of thing. Whereas the Kiwibox, it just says it there for you. It's, you don't have to think.
No, for sure. I definitely get what you mean. A lot of time on social media, we are passive consumers. And just by using imagery and videos to showcase in our face what this is about, it makes it a lot easier for our brains, especially sometimes when we just want like a day off when we're scrolling. Another thing that I just want to highlight as well is, if you see it, if you're viewing it on mobile, you can actually see that KiwiCore, they're using like the shopping element on Instagram. So people can actually click on one of the, so you can't see it on desktop right now just because of the features, but on mobile, you can actually see the prices, see what's the actual product that they're featuring, let's say in this photo, and people can actually click to buy or like to go to the website to add to cart as well. So that's really, really useful, especially for e-commerce. And that's really valuable, that what they're doing as well.
Yeah, and I just want to quickly share as well about how, if you notice on KiwiCo, like the way they frame the posts with people in them, you don't see them side by side, and including the graphics, you don't see the graphics side by side. Why? Because it gets very exhausting for the eyes as well. Like if you look at Inquibox, they have graphics like beside they also try to have like images in the middle, so they don't put words together. The ones with a lot of words together, but it's still very heavy on the eyes. So just take note of that. Like one way to make your feed look nicer is just remember not to always leave a gap for things that are too similar, because it's very heavy on the eyes.
Cool. Thanks, Dan. That's a great competitor analysis from everyone. So once we understand our own audience, we understand our competitors, the next thing people want to know is, what sort of content can I actually put out there? You know, like I want to know, I can't think of ideas, so I'm not sure what to create. So these are just a few thought starters for you guys to get started. But the first point is definitely just to show off what you do. So if you ask yourself, what are your customers most interested in? They're actually really interested in your work. So if you're a construction company, put out framing like this, put out your site progress. If you're a local restaurant or cafe, showcase your chefs, your dishes, your venue, and just the story behind it as well. So showing off what you do, be it anything, if you sell pasta sauce, how do you even make the pasta sauce? The situation in the farmer's market, or maybe right now, people are shopping online, on like online shopping, virtual farmer's market instead, things like that. But always remember that the story behind it matters a lot. So if you look at the screenshot on the right, Cauliflower Farms is actually a coffee and milk brand. But what they're doing, they're not just showcasing their end product, but they're showcasing the story behind it. So cacao and the origin, how it came about, how did they actually made it into the end product. A lot of people are actually interested in that part of the story rather than just showcasing what's the actual end product, the milk or the coffee that they get. Same thing on the right. If you do more of a service business, this is actually one of our education clients. So they connect international students with local internships. And this is the co-founder of Outcome Life. And in here, he touched on why he's so passionate, like the why of his business. He's passionate about international students because he felt that they're very, very driven, and they're new to the country, but they would do whatever it takes to get a job and things like that. So he really relates to his audience, the international students, and tell them that this is why his business started. So by telling the story of your business, be it how you started, or be it why you're doing this, you're continuously doing this, why you're passionate about this really helps to create a connection between you as a business, put a face on it, and connect it to your audience. The second tip here is to provide value, because you are the expert here. Like a lot of times we may think that, we're not that good in this and that, our customers might know better, but that's not true. You've been doing it for way longer than they know about it. So put out thought leadership content, put out how-to videos, or even just quick tips on doing certain things that is related to your business, something that you know but they don't know. And don't be worried that you're putting out free, valuable content out there and people might not buy your actual thing, because a lot of times they can only take so much. And when they think of a problem or a question that is related to the value that you're putting out, they would think of you immediately. It establishes your credibility in that sense. So some very typical examples, the screenshot on the left, BuzzFeed. Show of hands reactions if you've seen one of these BuzzFeed style videos on your Instagram or Facebook feed, like very quick recipes. Definitely. So these BuzzFeed style videos are the videos that always go viral. Very short, bite-sized content showcasing a recipe of how you get something done. And it looks really, really simple, although a lot of times it's not when you actually do it. But just by breaking it down into such bite-sized content, they are able to make people feel that they can do it too. They can do it themselves. So they're providing value to their audience. And same thing on for us, Pencil Rocket, we always try to help our clients provide value to their customers. So in the middle, it's our construction client Pascon group. And we created this video for him about 5 things you must do before you tender a project. And this is like free consulting in a sense that you're giving free advice to the customers who might actually, like, usually he might charge for a consultation like this. But by giving this free advice out, you're making sure that people know that you know your stuff and you're establishing yourself as the industry expert. But if you think that creating a video is a bit too much, a bit too hard, it's fine. You can just create a quick tip, or so if you look at the screenshot on the right, it's just educating students on how you can succeed in workplaces. So just taking initiative matter. So think about your own business, right? Think about what are the sort of things that you can provide value to your audience that they'll find that, oh wow, that's amazing. Like what we do as Pencil Rocket is we put out Facebook ads content. We teach people how to create Facebook ads in videos on LinkedIn, or like we teach people how do you break down buyer personas like this. So by giving this content for free out there, people know that they can really learn from you, and they might engage with you one day when they come, they have a similar problem. So the third tip here is that people love the human side of the business. Oftentimes we think that we want to showcase the product, or the venue, or what the business is actually about. But to be honest, what the business is actually about, what people really care about, is the face behind it. So be it featuring team spotlight. So if you have a team that's really passionate about what they're doing, they love what they're doing, showcase them, put them in the limelight on social media. Tell people why they're doing what they're doing. That's one way. You can even do, like, if your team has a birthday celebration, or if you're doing virtual wine session, like Friday wine sessions, put that on Instagram, because that showcases your company culture as well. And on the right, you can see that this is actually a co-working space in Melbourne that is one of our clients as well. And by using all of these human elements, we're able to showcase the community. So for a potential client, a potential user that comes to this Instagram, they see that, okay, I can relate to these people. I feel like I really like what they're doing. And by doing that, you entice people to come in more and engage with you more as well. The fourth tip is to engage with influencers to create content. So show of hands, have you guys done any form of influencer marketing? If you haven't? Cool, that's fine. But research shows that influencer marketing actually deliver 11 times higher return on investment as compared to traditional forms of digital marketing. And this is something that we've done for our clients as well. And we've really seen the results coming in. Like, of course, influencer marketing is sort of depending on your industry or your business as well. But if it's B2C, if it's something that's very appealing, it's really good to use influencers and leverage them to showcase and promote your business a bit more. So Laksa Bar is a Malaysian restaurant in Melbourne, and we engaged with more than 10 influencers during that 1 month. But during that period of time, their Instagram followers actually increased by 500% just because there's so many influencers posting about it. And also the Zomato ranking, the ranking on Zomato actually increased from 3.2 to 4, which is amazing. And this is one of the content that influencers created, because what you can do is you can always still repost their content, because usually influencers post really aesthetic content. It's basically like free content creation for your brands, because you're not only paying them for the promotion part, you're also paying them for the content part. And if you're thinking, how on earth do I find local influencers? So a good way is just to look up hashtags on social media. Instagram is easier to set up just because Instagram has the hashtags element in place. So this is the way, like if I'm trying to find a foodie in Melbourne, I look up eating Melbourne, right? I type in hashtag eating Melbourne, and then look at the top posts. Usually the top posts are the ones that are created by influencers, because, or like Instagrammers, that micro influencers, what we call, like people with less than 3K followers. And if you look at desserts of Melbourne, okay, look pretty good, 400 likes. I click on Food Tom, because this Desserts of Melbourne is actually another account that posted. Sometimes you need a few clicks to get there. It's photographed by Food Tom, and Food Tom, 7K followers. Amazing, they're actual influencer. And if you click this little button, this little down button, you can actually see a lot of suggestions from Instagram itself. So this is a good way to find the influencers in your industry, because here I found Food Review Australia with 61K followers. But of course, a quick tip here is also, if you're trying to do influencer marketing, start small. So when we first started with Laksa Bar and did influencer marketing, we weren't able to reach 60K, like influencers with 60K followers, but that's fine. You can start with influencers with 3K followers that's in your local region, and just DM them, reach out, say that we're interested to for you to sponsor us. Sometimes they need a monetary, like you need to give them like a few hundreds just for them to sponsor your business, but sometimes they do it for free in return of the product or like the service as well. So this is just some guidance on how you can get started on influencer marketing. But if you think that your business is you think that influencers can help, like actually Pasta, I've seen a lot of, if you heard of Tribe, it's actually an online platform where it connects influencers with brands. So brands can actually submit a brief, and then influencers can submit all their submissions as well. So I've seen a lot of influencers creating content for pasta sauce, like, and it's great because you're reaching their audience, like the influencers audience, which normally you wouldn't be able to reach. And if they're interested, they'll come back and follow you as well. So it's really, really good for B2C products. So the next tip is that behind the scene shots are actually the interesting ones. So you might think that if I'm posting on Instagram or Facebook, I want to have the more aesthetic, more professional images. But that's why you may be a bit wrong here, because a lot of people, they want to see the authenticity of it. So it can be something like, so this is like a cereal company, and Bungie they are like a co-working space, if I'm not mistaken, and they post all different types of cereals and say that our cereal club meetings are great. So showcasing their company culture, or even just using, if you feel like you don't want to ruin your feed on Instagram because you want certain aesthetic, that's fine. Use Instagram and Facebook stories are amazing for that. And to be honest, Instagram and Facebook stories have a higher reach as compared to your feed posts as well. But remember, just to be authentic. People, if we look at our clients, when we do monthly reports, I'm always surprised to see that the top performing Instagram stories are always the ones that showcase the founder, that showcase what they do behind the scenes. Like when our construction client, the founder, does a walkthrough of the site progress, it's like a very raw footage, no edits, whatever, just him talking about how's the site progress going. But that always has heaps of engagement because people want to see what's happening behind the scenes. They want that window to your brand as well. And last but not least is to let your user-generated content, UGC, shine. So what this means is really encourage your own customer, your own user to post more content about you. And you'll be surprised, but some brands like GoPro or Adobe, they actually only post user-generated content just because they have so much out there, so many people that are promoting and advocating for them. And a lot of times when you post user-generated content, it really adds that authenticity to your brand. And remember that you can use a unique hashtag. So this screenshot is actually one of the co-working space in Melbourne that we work with. So by using a hashtag where it all began, during the launch party, we were able to compile a lot of different stories from different users, and we're able to repost it as well. So remember to feature the user-generated content, be it on your feed or on your stories. If you look on the screenshot on the right, Lush Cosmetic, they even put the hashtag right in their Instagram bio. So share your hashtag Lush Life with us. So by doing this, if I'm a Lush fan, I go to their page and I feel like, okay, I love using their products and I'm featuring them. I might as well add a hashtag to it because I might get featured. So when you encourage your users to post more about your product or your service and you actually feature them or you engage with them, that's really, really important to always leverage this UGC because they're so important to your business as well. So that's all from this part, be it the target audience, competitor analysis, and how you create content. Just want to open the floor to you guys and see if there's any questions you have or how we can help. But at the same time, like what Dan said, if you need a quick toilet break, feel free to do so as well.
Yeah, so we're gonna probably spend maybe 10 minutes here. So if you guys want to have a little break, please feel free to do so. Again, all the questions and things like that will be recorded, so you don't have to miss out on anything. Or you can just mute yourself and then just do what you want to do and still be able to listen in.
Let me get the Tribe website for you. ZB, are you asking about Tribe's website?
Thank you. I just happened to come after Dee's message.
How do you know about Tribe?
She just mentioned it before.
Oh.
That's what I was talking about. Yeah, she had just mentioned that before. Oh, great. Thank you.
No worries. They do charge a bit of the management fee because they are like a platform. So if you want to start out with a smaller budget for influencer marketing, it might be better to reach out directly to them. But like I mentioned, start small because oftentimes it's a bit realistic, but it's annoying as well. But oftentimes when you get more micro influencers coming in, then the bigger ones will start saying yes to you because that's what we've found from actual experience as well.
So with while I was just on influencers, so with like I said, my husband's business is real estate. I've got nothing to do with that except that I do his social media. Mm-hmm. So if I was to, and right now with Century 21 Barossa, we actually work alongside, not Barossa, but Century 21 South Australia works alongside Adelaide. And Adelaide is, for those that are in South Australia would know about the two lovely ladies, Lauren and Hayley. And so they are sponsored by Century 21. So, and they are influencers. Would they be people that we could say, talk to them privately and just see if they could do something with us on the side? Because they are, I think they've got 50,000 or more followers.
I think based on what I've heard, like based on their following base and things like that, it might be a bit hard to reach out to them directly to get them to work, collaborate with you guys, unless you have a personal connection, like you know them personally. But it's always worth a try. Or if they reject, or they usually for bigger influencers they charge like a certain fee just for them to promote first. If they do, maybe you can even ask them to recommend, or just look up even smaller logo, because they don't, like, the influencers you're looking for don't necessarily have to be big influencers, right? They can be a few thousand followers, but if their audience, like, look at their followers, look at the influencers' followers, and if their audience is someone that you think fits in your brand and the messaging is resonate with you, then you can give them a try.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, just give them a try, because I think I could be wrong, but for some of them, they might not be very used to people coming up to them to ask for like a promotion. Like, I doubt it, but you never know. And just be direct with them, you know, like ask them, oh, you know, is it possible to get like a shout out on your Insta story? You know, Insta story, you don't have to, it's not permanent, it goes away after a day. Like ask them, oh, is it okay for me to give me a shout out for a day? Like, you know, I do this, do that. Yeah, I really like your content, blah blah. And then see what they say. The most they would do is just give you like a price or something. And or even you can even ask them, oh, do you recommend anyone who might be able to do it for less, or, you know, anyone who, you know, like your micro, ask them about, like, you know, like micro influencers that they would know that can help in that area for a specific price. Because normally they would know, because influencers, they tend to, not everyone, but they tend to like know each other, because it's like, it's like their own, it's like a community for them, and they will be able to recommend other people. I see that Dee asked a question, Nuni.
Yes.
Some people work with vulnerable persons, and it may not be sensitive or legal to post about them. What can they do? Example, aged, child, community care, disability, social assistance sector.
Is this more about like showcasing their face? It might not be possible to do that, or like even their stories, or stories is fine. I think you're mute.
Yeah. Because they will be, I think this is for someone like Amanda, so their clients, they might have really confidential clients that they can't really showcase their face, or they might be young people, they might be in the disability, aged, and just that vulnerable sector where it's not actually possible to post their face per se, but they offer a service. So how can they post about their service without necessarily showing a confidential client face?
Yeah, no, that makes sense. I think for me, if it's possible to still tell the story, I think that would be really amazing. But what I would do is I would zoom in really, like, I wouldn't showcase the face, but let's say if someone is on the wheelchair or like on the bed, it's just like certain features of it. But for me, if I, as a user, as an audience, I would really want to hear the story, because I follow Humans of New York. I'm sure you guys have heard about it as well. And they have like amazing stories there. And yes, they do feature faces, but a lot of times they feature like just half cut for people who are not comfortable having the identities exposed on social media. Have close-up shots, but still tell that story, because I feel like in this area, for the vulnerable people, it's what really touches people is that story behind it. So that's one. Another one that you can post stuff without faces is like testimonials. Like, of course, what we always tell people is that testimonials are always stronger if they have a face somewhere in that post, because it makes people feel that it's more real and it's more authentic. But if it's not possible, it's fine as well. But just tell people, showcase the actual success story of one of your clients or one of the people that you work with. That's also a good way. And just even showcase the space of the aged and community care or like disability, because I feel that people also want to know what's the environment that they will be in. And that's something that you can play around as well, or showcase you yourself talking about it. So you can't showcase their face, talk about it yourself, like what you should look up for. Like, I'm not sure exactly is that like if you are helping them, so maybe it's like how you can help a disabled person, if you have one living at home with you, how you can help them better, or how you can fine-tune your home to make it a better area, a better living place for them, things like that. Use your own personal branding as the face instead.
Yeah, like I really agree with everything Looney said, especially the part on using your own face to tell a story, because not a lot of people are willing to do that. But I always find that it's very advantageous to do that, just because you're basically subconsciously telling someone that, hey, I'm willing to put my reputation on the line. That's because I care so much about the product. I believe so much in what I do, in the service, in the organization, that I'm willing to put my face on it. And and it goes a long way in gaining people's trust, because like what we've all agreed on earlier, is that people connect best with other people. And so if you just see a business, you just see a logo, no humans at all, it's going to be hard to connect with them, unless you have really strong big brands, like Nike and 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 uh, and I don't know who else. Oh my gosh. And yeah, just like really big brands, and then you can immediately connect with them. Otherwise, if you're a smaller company, like, you're gonna need to use faces a lot. And we've found in our experience that whenever we post something, be it ads or an organic post, whenever that we feature faces, it always tend to do better. Always.
And some of our most successful clients are those founders or business owners that are willing to put their face behind the camera, because people know that they own a business, right? And when people see their personal branding, see how they believe in the brand and what they are advocating, it really helps to make that connection. So
yeah,
be brave. Like, it's scary sometimes, like putting your face out there and to present your brand, but if you can, like, why
yeah.
not?
Like when we first started with him, he didn't want to have his face shown. And then after like 4 months, 5 months, he started seeing how powerful social media is. And then now he's always with his phone and just doing like Instagram live or like Instagram stories, and everyone just cannot stand him now, because he's just so in your face now. But because of that, it really pushed the company and really pushed the brand, and he started doing a lot of educational content, a lot of entertainment type content as well with him, and he even includes his family sometimes now as well. So a lot of times it's you know like I agree, like for some people, they're just not meant, that they're just not comfortable with being on camera. If that's the case, find other means. But there are a lot. What I'm trying to say is there's a lot of advantage to being able to use your face and tell your story from your mouth.
Cool. If you guys have any other questions, just pop them in the chat. But I think we'll continue on to the next part.
Yep. So the next part will be my part. Okay, now we're gonna go through the actual creation of the content. Okay. I know now who to target. I know now some of the ideas that is possible for social media, but how do I go about making that content? Here's how. There are 3 different ways, really. The first one is to just do it yourself. Like we are so fortunate. Again, I cannot express how fortunate we are to be living in a world where information is so accessible. We can Google anything and become experts in it within 2 days, within a week. Like a lot of times people just think, oh yeah, I just know a little bit about this. I don't think I'm good enough to share. No, by just putting in the effort, learning something for at least 10 hours, you're already in the top 80% for that particular thing. There's so many people out there that don't put in the effort to know what to go and to understand certain things. You are the expert if you put in the time to learn it. And that means that you can learn how to do Photoshop, you can learn how to use video editing skills, editing tools. Afterwards, I'll tell you different free and very easy to use tools to make graphics, to make marketing videos. Those are like cheats, not really, but but you can use that. I'll share it with you afterwards. But if you want to learn it yourself, you can. Number two is to hire someone internally. Like, if you have the budget, hire someone full-time to make content, to manage your social media. That person will also be in charge of your marketing. Hire someone that has this kind of knowledge. And so when they're creating that content, it's not just to create content, but it has a specific purpose to it, a particular action that they want their audience to take with it. Number three is if you don't really have the budget and you also don't really want to do it yourself because you don't have the time, maybe outsource it to an agency, outsource it to someone, because a lot of times they would have the skill set of a few people. Like if you hire an agency, they would have a graphic designer, they will have a videographer, they will have a marketing person, and someone that can help you advertise. And the only things that you have to make sure that they understand your brand well enough, they care enough about your brand so that they can make it their own as well. So there are different benefits and disadvantages to doing each one. But I would say if you have the time, there's no excuse that you can't do it yourself. You can do it. It's possible. Next, you guys are spoiled for choice. Like there's so many different formats that your content can come in. You can create articles if you don't want to make a video. You can take photos if you don't want to make videos or write. You can create guides, ebooks. You can use UGCs, user-generated content. You can use photos taken by your own customers. There's so many things that you can do. You can create podcasts if you just like audio, you prefer audio. Keep in mind that people receive different things through different formats. Like an audience of you might not care for video, but maybe they really like to listen to things on the way to work. When they're driving, they like to listen to a podcast. There are different ways to convey the same message. Next, there's so many platforms that you guys can use. There's Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, WordPress, WhatsApp, LinkedIn, all the way down to Tinder. You can market yourself on Tinder. You can market anything nowadays, and again, this is by order of the most popular social media platforms in Australia. Facebook being the most popular, but this goes to show that everyone is a user of multiple platforms. Like I myself use 4 or 5 of these platforms. I'm not going to tell you which ones, but I use at least 4 or 5 of these platforms, and I go into each platform with a different mindset. So maybe I want entertainment. I'll go on YouTube. If I want to know more about what my friends are doing, I go on Facebook. If I want to do more personal development, I want to connect with other professionals, I'll use LinkedIn. So I might use different platforms, but I bring with me different mindsets into each platform. So it's always advantageous to just use more platforms. You may have the same piece of content, but it might be received differently if you use different platforms. And that's why it's also very important, as what Looney mentioned earlier, to understand what platforms your target audience use. If your target audience don't use Snapchat, then there's no point going on Snapchat, right? But if you have the time, it's always good to use as many platforms as you can. If you have the time, it's never bad. Next, okay, Daniel, you're telling me that there's all these platforms, there's all this type of content that I can make. Oh my gosh, it's going to take so much time. It's going to take up money. It's going to take up so much resources. Is there a way that we can, make it more efficient? Yes, you can. There's this thing called content stacking, aka repurposing content. So what that means is that you can take one piece of content that you have made and then make it into different types of content. How should I say this? Say, for example, you made a video like the one we did, right? We made a video and we also make it into an article. So it's still the same information, but in a different format. And from there, we also make it into, we extract just the audio part from that video and we make it into a podcast. From that video, it's the same video, we take a screenshot and now it's a photo as well. From that video that was 2-3 minutes long, we break it down into 15-30 second segments. So now we can use like 5-6 times from that same video. And that's how you can become more efficient with your content. take one piece of content and then use it for different formats, and then put it in different platforms. So for example, we take this content that was 3 minutes long, 5 things that you must do before you tender. So there are 5 things. We break it down. We break it down into a carousel. See, these are photos. So each photo would have a different tip. That's one. Second, we make it into a IGTV. So it actually elongates. It makes use of the 9:16 ratio for IG story or Instagram story. And that's another piece of content. And then we make it into a blog as well. So that's another piece of content. So the same thing that we made can be broken down into other different pieces of content, smaller contents. So that's how you can be more efficient with your time and with the effort that you put into that really good piece of content. The next thing we got to do is we got to learn from what we've done. Like, it's not enough to just make it, post it, and forget about it. We got to learn from it as well. So for example, we've posted an Instagram story, right? On the left, we posted an Instagram story and we look at analytics for it. We see, okay, we have 700 people that have seen it. We've got 1 reply from it. Someone actually messaged us. We've got 12 people that visit our profile from it. We've got 1 person who have clicked on our email address, and we have got 102 people that have actually clicked on the sticker tab that we have put in. So for example, Pascon, they tagged a subcontractor of theirs in the story, and there's 102 people that actually clicked on it. Like, what? And this is what you can do as well, like if you have a really good following, you can actually tell your partners or your suppliers, whoever, and tell them, hey, I am getting really good engagement here. Did you want me to help promote your company? And maybe that's for an extra cost. Maybe you can get a better price on certain things. Maybe you can get a discount things. But what you can see is that even if you don't have like 50K followers, like people will still interact with you. And then on the third column, you can see, okay, how many profile visits that you've had in that 1 month. So this is not Insta story now. This is just on your overall feed. Like, you can get all this information on Instagram for free as long as you change it into a business account. You've seen, okay, in the last 1 week, you've got 242 people that visited your profile. You've got 13 people that have clicked onto your website, which is your URL on your Instagram bio, and emails. And then you can even go in deeper and look at what are the most popular posts. For example, this is showing all posted in the last 3 months. You can change it to 6 months, 1 year, and you can sort them by engagement. You can sort them by different things as well, like how many views. You can sort them by how many people have clicked onto your profile from those content. You can look at how many people have commented, and you can see like side by side. Then you can analyze. You can see, okay, this is what I posted in the last 3 months. Oh, this one seems to be doing better than the rest. Why? This one doesn't seem to be doing as well. Why? And then when you start asking these kind of questions, immediately you can start making better content, because it's all about trial and error. You can see, maybe this one's because we're showing the actual construction itself. Wait, do people care about the process itself? Maybe they do. Okay, next month I'm gonna post another few more. I'm gonna post 3 more of this kind of posts, and then we'll see how we go. So that's what we want you guys to start doing, analyzing what you've done and seeing how can we replicate what's been successful, and maybe not do so much of what doesn't give you as much engagement. And lastly, it's very important, if you want to grow your audience, you need to listen to them. It's not a one-way thing. You're not just throwing content out in front of them. We're not just posting things, not throwing things out at them. No, we also need to listen to them. For example, on the left-hand side, you can see someone commented on one of our posts, oh, so happy for you guys, congratulations, blah, blah, blah. We have to comment. Like, people have taken time out of their lives to give you a comment like that. So the least you can do to reciprocate that is to also comment, not a generic one, but one that you actually took the time to give. You have to understand that people have so many things, so many other accounts that they can follow, so many other pieces of content that they can consume. But the fact that they took the time to comment on your post when they could be doing a million other things in their lives, right? We're now living in a world where there's so many options, too many options. So the fact that someone actually comment on your piece of content, that's a big thing. And you gotta take care of that. You gotta show them that you also care. The next thing in the middle, what you can do is, in order to engage with your audience, is to put polls out. Like Instagram, on Instagram stories, you can actually put polls. For example, you can put, like, you want to know your audience better, like, outcome.live, you put, are you a, click here if you're a uni student, click here if you're a fresh grad. And then we can see, okay, 70% of my audience, or at least out of that pool of people that have tapped on it, are still in uni, and only 30% have just graduated. And so, we can immediately understand, okay, what kind of content, okay, we can put out that will resonate with people who are still in uni. And then lastly, right, if this is a very good tip, right, if you guys want to grow your audience, right, if you want to grow your audience, remember to engage with the community. On Instagram, you can use the hashtag function, you can use the location function. So if you guys are living in suburbs, right, in smaller areas, and people would tag like the location, or people would tag Barossa, people would tag Oruro, right? And you can see what kind of the people that have been posting in your area. Or if you're in real estate, you can use that real estate hashtag and see who have been posting about real estate. And then, okay, this is gonna be the crazy thing here. You're gonna comment on their posts, okay? Someone out there in Barossa who has 200 followers will suddenly see a comment from a random person or a random business on their post. They're gonna see a comment on their post, and they only typically have maybe 1 or 2 comments from their friends. Like, can you imagine if you're them? Like, they'll be like, oh my gosh, who is this person? And then they'll be curious, they'll click into that profile, and it'll be your profile that they'll land on, and they'll see, oh my gosh, they're putting out good content that I actually like. And the fact that they actually took time to comment on my post, me, a nobody, I want to follow them. I want to see what they have to say. That's how you grow your following. That's a really good way to grow your following. Authentic following as well, because it's going to be people who are interested in what you're putting out, like the hashtag, like real estate, or in your local area. These are going to be like your direct or the target audience. It's a bit time consuming though, so but it is a really good way to do it. And this is another really good tip on how you can convert. Man, Looney had just put all these words on top. Okay, so this is a really good tip, right? How do you convert an Instagram story into an actual client? Okay, this is going to be very important. Like what we did earlier, we put a poll out and we asked, are you a uni student or a fresh grad? Okay, 70% of people have clicked uni student, 28% have clicked fresh grad. We go into the analytics, we see, okay, there's 26 people that voted for uni student, 10 people voted fresh grad. You know what you can do? You can actually directly message these people. You can directly message these people. That means that you can immediately, that's your first point of contact. You can message them and you see what we did. We say, hey, Niti, we noticed that you mentioned blah, blah, blah. We are outcome.live. We've helped blah, blah, blah. We just want to check in with you if any questions or anything we can help with. Of the 20, I think 25, 24 people that we directly messaged, 12 of them actually replied to us, and 5 of them actually booked an appointment with us. you know, that's really good, and it's for free. Like, we didn't do anything. We didn't pay anything. We got this leads for free, you know. And a lot of people fail to realize that you can actually do something like this. You don't have to do all the fancy stuff. You can if you want to, but you can do it for free as well. And that's why it's very important to build a following. It's very important to build your brand. Put in the effort for social media. There is no shortcuts. And the last thing, right? The last thing that you guys got to do, right? And a lot of people don't know this. You guys can use a post scheduler. You guys don't have to post directly onto Instagram or Facebook. A lot of people, and I've heard this so many times, a lot of people are like, at the end, you know, they work 9 to 5, and then at the end of the day, they're like, I need to post something on Instagram. And then what they do is they quickly find something and they quickly write the caption. They don't spend too much time because they're just sick of it, and it's not planned. The thing that's posted is not going to be as valuable. It's not going to be as focused. And people can tell. Remember, I was saying how people can see whether something's authentic and thought has been put into it. They're going to feel that. So what you want to do instead is you want to plan it out. Use one of the schedules like Later. We use Later personally for all our clients. You can use another one like Buffer. There are different ones out there. And even Facebook has their own right now called Facebook Creator. The reason why I like Later and like Buffer is that you can see at one glance in 1 month what you're posting, at what time you're posting, at what day you're posting. And they will remind you. They will give you a notification on your phone to post something. Or they will automatically post it for you. So you don't have to worry about not posting something. You don't have to worry about what you're going to post that day. You can plan it all in advance. And be consistent, right? So if you use one of those schedulers, you can see, like Later, you can see what it's going to look like even before you post. Be consistent. Aside from posting it regularly, you also got to make sure that the feed is not too cluttered. Remember I was telling you about KiwiCo? The same, you know, the same here. Wait. The same here as well. Like, make sure that, you know, you use like similar colors. Like if you look at like down here, we use like a gray color. Like even and below that, we use like a bluish hue. We can use like similar hues to group things. We make sure that people are not side by side. We make so, you know, these are things that you can do to make it more aesthetic. That you can easily Google like how do you make your feed more aesthetic, blah blah blah. So yeah, just be consistent. Like what Looney said before. Don't just expect like results to happen overnight. Building a brand takes time. There is no shortcut. Okay, do you guys have any questions?
What do you guys think so far? Is that a lot of stuff that you know, or is that a lot of stuff that's fairly new to you? Take some time to digest.
There's a lot of new stuff in there for me, and I'm quite active on social media. So a lot of like converting from polls to actual clients. That was a really good one for me.
I think definitely the polls part, it also depends on the life cycle of your customer, like how long the sales cycle usually takes to convert. So of course it's not for everyone, but it does work as the first point of contact for a lot of, like, for all business basically.
Yeah, it's a good way to get like warm leads. And because they're following you, you know, you have that brand, it's going to be a lot easier to convert.
And do you guys find it hard to create content, like to think of the content, or is it the think of part that's harder, or the creating part that's harder for you all?
I'm a boomer with your age children, and I'm learning all of this, but you've just taught me a whole lot more that I didn't know. I'm learning.
Good, that's good.
I find I've got a lot going on in my head, but it's when to post it, and I think coming up with the right language that's going to be catchy. Like you say, some things always seem like you didn't put too much thought into it, but I actually spent ages thinking about it, and then the next thing I'm too tired and I end up not posting.
Yeah.
I think the good part about using a scheduler myself is, from personal experience, it really helps the process, because I log in 2 hours and I'm just writing content. I'm thinking about messaging, what I'm going to write, and then I just smash it all out, rather than every day and then I'll just write a little. A lot of times you get very distracted, but if you do it all at once, it really helps the flow to go much smoother.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then, you know, once you are able to schedule your posts, you can immediately use social media for what it's intended for fun. So you can create Instagram stories or Facebook stories from your phone, and that should be how it should be. Like, you create a post, you schedule. You don't have to think about the post anymore. But then when you're in your everyday, you can create like behind the scenes type things. You can talk directly into it. So you create Instagram stories. So that's a different way for people to engage with you. And you'll be surprised that a lot of people that use Instagram stories, a lot of people, and because it's relatively new, it gets really good engagement as well.
How about Jenny?
Social media should be fun.
Laura,
Should be
do you guys
fun.
have any questions?
Like, we still have a little bit more after this, but right now, you know, it's time for you guys to ask questions and for you guys to take a break if you guys want. Yeah.
I struggle with brand aesthetics. So I see other Instagram profiles and they've all got this lovely style and tone. For someone that's just out with their phone and trying to replicate that, even when you use, I use Lightroom a lot and use presets a lot, but even there's variation within that. How is that something that you can do yourself if you take a little bit more time, or is it worth investing in getting someone to help you set that up, that all your content has the same tone and style?
So it's always, oh, sorry, you go.
Oh, no, go first then.
So for me, right, to me, it's always a balance, you know, because if it's too templated, it's not authentic. It wouldn't be as authentic, you know. Like, a lot of big brands can get away with it because they have that brand, you know. But for a lot of small companies, I see, like, if you look at like Inquibox before, like, they use a lot of like templates that I can see, and it becomes not authentic already. And then it also got to do with what resources you have. It's always good to engage with someone who, you know, is an expert in that thing. So you learn from them as well. But if you don't really have that budget, I think it's all right to post things yourself and to not care too much about the aesthetic. Aesthetic is important, but then, like, remember the tips that I just gave you guys, like simple ones, like not putting people next to each other, like having like a hue that
Sort of
I guess
more.
Yeah, that connects the post around it. Like, those are small things that you can make that can allow your feed to look nicer without having to do all the graphic thing, you know, a lot of things. While we're on that subject, you can use things like Canva if you don't have a graphic designer. So Canva is a free to use app that was actually started by a lady in Perth. I'm a huge fan of that company, even though I don't use it myself. I love her story. And it's a unicorn company, meaning it's worth over $1 billion. It's one of the most successful startups, one of in Australia. Yeah, so like what Looney is sharing right now, you can create a lot of graphics from it for free and super easy to use, you know? That's why I'm saying we're so lucky. We get to use all of these things that, you know, that we normally would have to pay $500-$600 to get someone to do it for us.
Like on Canva, you can actually pick the different templates. Like, this is a coronavirus Instagram post. So you can first choose what sort of post you're creating. So it comes with a resolution immediately. And then if you're looking for something like coronavirus, it has heaps of templates here, like working from home, or like you can also do, like, let's say if you're a foodie, food Instagram post. If you're doing a sales, like you're trying to sell a product, they have all these templates here as well. And what's really, really powerful is that you can actually change this slightly. Like, if this is not your brand color, so on these questions on how do you actually how do you actually, you know, be more brand consistent and have more brand aesthetic as well. So have a few, know your brand colors and try to keep to it, right? So on Canva, you can change the colors to your own brand colors because you know the color codes and things like that. And tools like Canva makes it really easy for you. But I think it's definitely a good way to start by using presets as well, because a lot of times when we're taking photos, they come from like different lightings and things like that. And having presets, at the very least, it makes it a bit more consistent. And another thing for brand aesthetic is also to take close-ups, but also a bit more longer shots. So like, because if you remember what Dan showed in the construction client we have, it's always important to have a mix between close-up and further shots, because when it's all close up, it looks so cluttered and it feels like there's no space to breathe. But having a combination, like look up some, like Thank You Water actually has an amazing Instagram feed. And if you look at how they play with the space and play with the graphics, and of course they have their own in-house graphics and designers team, but that can be something that we take away from it as well, like just leveraging those different shots as well.
And I also want to share with you guys a couple of more applications that you guys can use, because I think it's quite valuable for you guys. Like, for example, if you want to create a marketing video, right? You can use something like Promo. Like it's not, I never used it before, but I think it's very cheap. Either it's free or it's very cheap. So if you want to create your own marketing video, this is something that you can use. If you want to create your own website and you don't want to pay thousands of dollars for it, you can use things like Wix.com or even Squarespace. Can't spell. So like for me, it's we can do a lot of things by ourselves, and the good thing about being able to do it ourselves is that we have control. We don't have to go to a developer, and whenever we want to make a change, we get them to do it for us, and you know, it's a lot better and forth. Of course, this is a lot more time consuming, but you know, that's the thing, right? If we don't really have the resources, the budget for it, like we have to do it ourselves. And that's kind of how we started as well, just using all these tools. Of course, when it comes to videos and graphics, we have our own people to do it for us. But you know, as a business owner, you guys, your main focus should always be on your business, and so being able to come up with quick fixes to making videos or graphics or website, they'll always be useful.
I think Jenny had a question regarding behind the scenes, like what does it mean to create behind the scenes content? Like it's not so much about personal life, but it's more about behind the scenes for business life. So anything that showcases your business culture, it can be like a working from home shot. It can also be like, let's say if you're e-commerce, you showcase how your team packaged the product, or if you are a real estate agent, showcase the virtual tour using your Instagram stories, but it's taken by yourself. It's not like a professionally taken, but behind the scenes, a lot of time it's just what's happening behind the pretty and aesthetic shots that you put out on Instagram or Facebook, because as consumers, we're so used to seeing the pretty photos, but a lot of time we want to see what's happening, like what lengths did you go to take this shot, like things like that. It's really fun, but it actually showcases a lot about your brand as well.
So Jenny creates products from zebra rock, which is a very unique rock to South Australia. So for example, could she do a GoPro or a phone video of her going to find the rocks that she makes her products out from, and how she builds them and things like that?
Amazing. Like the whole building process, you can even just do a time lapse on your phone. Like put a phone at a place where you can record it, put a time lapse. People love this sort of DIY, not really DIY, but showcasing how you actually build that product out, the behind the scenes that's happening. It doesn't need to be professionally taken. You just need to be raw and authentic and connects with people.
Yeah, exactly. You know, like it's very rare nowadays to see authentic type content for businesses. So make use of that, and especially where you guys are at. Like if you guys can be like the first movers for making good quality content on social media, like you guys will stand out, just like how our construction companies stood out, because no one else in the industry was doing anything with their social media until they started putting effort into it. And now, you know, they are seen as like the influence. He actually gives talks on social media for the construction industry. That's what kind of person he has become now. You know, so if you guys have that opportunity to be a first mover, like I think that's really, really useful, especially in where you guys are at.
I think Laura had a question between setting something as post versus a story. That's a good question. For me, I would say, because I want our Instagram feed, I'm talking more about Instagram because on Facebook, it doesn't really matter how the feed looks. But on Instagram, that's the first impression that people come. They arrive on your profile and that's what they see, the first 9 photos, right? So for me, I want that to be a bit more representative of my business and what I want new people to see at a first glance. So that will be more, it will be more planned stuff. Like it will be our brand story. It would be certain, we usually do like certain content pillars. So one can be educational content, like how to, all of those stuff of content. One is our brand story. One is the behind the scenes, or like, but more professionally taken behind the scenes. But on stories, it can really be anything. So when we go to the office, we do stories of our team. When we go to client side, we do stories of clients, what's happening when we do shooting and all of that. But think of stories as just being anything that's related to the business, like your everyday office life or your everyday work life. But feed is something that is a bit more planned out. And think of what you want a new prospect who arrive on your page to see. I think that's a good way to think of the differentiation. And careful saying that time lapse reminds you of TikTok. Yeah, definitely. And if you guys are, getting stuck for ideas on what to create, TikTok is actually very easy to get started, and it helps you get, because the video editing tools are so easy there, and there's so many filters, so many effects that you can use. And if you're a bit unsure of how to get started, if you have kids in the house, they're definitely your best teachers ever, because every single teenager or kids are on TikTok and they can teach you so much about TikTok. It's great for creating those short form casual content, to be honest.
Yeah, and you can share it on Instagram. And can you imagine if you're an older person on TikTok, you're gonna immediately stand out, right? You're gonna immediately stand out.
So they have like trending hashtags on TikTok, and moms of TikTok, this is one of the most trending hashtags right now. And there are actually a lot of boomers on TikTok as well. Like they even use hashtag boomers whenever they post content. And like what Dan say, just because there's so many kids and so little adults and older generation, you will stand out if you go on TikTok and create meaningful content that relates to your audience, or just fun content. Stories. Laura, yes, that's correct that not everyone will see feed post due to the algorithm, but a good way is also, so when you actually post something on your feed, if you can, remember, share it on your story. So do you guys know how to do that? Like sharing your feed post to your stories? Okay, I think someone said no. I'll quickly show it on my phone. So
I think this is the last question, then we can continue.
Yeah, and we will continue, yes. So let's say this is a post of our own. And then if you see this little button here, press it, and then add post to story. It's a bit opposite. And then there you go, it's on your story.
You can post it to both Instagram and Facebook.
Yes. Yeah, okay. So in the last part, I'll share my screen. Cool. Everyone can see my screen here? So in
just a little bit more.
Yeah. Content distribution. Cool. You know what sort of content you want to create, you know how to create it. Now, how do I make sure people see it? A really good way is doing Facebook ads. So, and Facebook ads aren't just it's really, really powerful because you can really target your audience and you can really target the people who you want them to see your ads. So a few ways that you can do targeting options here. The first is you can actually do a list upload of your CRM list, your email subscriber, or maybe just your previous customers. Like if you have a record data of it and it's above 100, you can actually upload it on Facebook and retarget these people or do lookalikes of these people. Second way is retargeting. And retargeting is one of the most powerful targeting options ever. Like think of it as if you've ever shopped online, you go to ASOS or you go to any other online shopping site. The next second you go on Facebook and you get an exact ad that shows that, oh, you have left this and that in your cart. So how do they find out about this? It's when you have a Facebook pixel installed on your website, you can actually target people who have visited your website or even specific pages of your website. Or you can target people who have watched the video on your Facebook or Instagram or have engaged, so like or commented on any of your posts on Facebook and Instagram. This is how retargeting works. And it's so powerful because these people already had one touch point with your brand or your business. So you're just targeting them with a bit more information. They just need a bit more push to let them become a lead or a prospecting customer. And the last targeting option is prospecting. So this is where you're reaching new audience that they probably never heard of you before, never heard of your brand and business, but this is where your buyer persona really comes in place. Because this is where you can target people based on demographic, behavior, interest. So let's say if you're a real estate agent, right? Obviously you don't want to be targeting 18 years old because of that spending power, but you can target people based on certain areas. Let's say Barossa Valley, you can target people based on their interests, so that if interest in mortgage loans or they are first home buyers. And you can even target, so let's say if you own a local restaurant, you can target people who have interest, whose birthday is coming up in the next few months. Or if you're a handyman, you can target people who have had interest in repairing and things like that. These are all the behaviors all the prospecting stuff that you can do and target on Facebook ads. In this part, it's about the objective of your Facebook ad. So all of this that you're seeing is on Ads Manager. It's not just the boost button on your post. And it's this part of Facebook, it's going to be quite brief just because of the time, but we do have another Facebook ads workshop. And if we do see interest in it, we can host that as well. So I'm just going to be a bit more brief and give you guys an overview of what Facebook ads is about. So in the objective parts, there are heaps of objectives you can choose from on Facebook. But I would say focus on these few that I've highlighted because they are the ones that they are most suited for small, medium-sized businesses. So brand awareness outreach are better suited for like big brands like McDonald's or Apple or Nike. But if you're focus on, let's say, traffic brings people to your website. Engagement, it's more about getting likes and comments and shares on your post, or getting people to like your page. Or even if you set up a Facebook event, you can get more people who click interested or going. That's engagement. Video views, you're getting more people to view your video. Lead generation is a lead form pop-up on Facebook and Instagram itself that allows you to collect data. Messages is actually allowing people to easily message you on your Facebook Messenger inbox or even WhatsApp. Conversion, this is particularly useful and helpful for e-commerce business because once you have your Facebook pixel set up, you can actually try to get people to either add to cart or make a purchase on your site. And you need to set this up. You need to set this up on your own, like set up events and stuff. But basically, Facebook will try to find people who will convert more on your website. So this is a bit about the campaign objective on Facebook ads. And next, I'm sure all of you guys have gotten targeted by one or two Facebook ads on your feed. And there's so many ad formats out there. So anything from a single image or a carousel. Single image are great for just conveying that one message you want people to know. Very simple message. Like this is for one of our education clients, and then we just want customers to know that people who have signed up for this internship actually got hired in the end. For carousel, it's great for showcasing an array of products, so really good for e-commerce, or you have different services that you want people to know about. This is great. But these two, collection ads and videos, they're amazing because they're even more interactive and very immersive experience. So on the right is the Sephora video ad, and video just automatically catches people's eye more and really captures people's attention when you're scrolling on the feed. So very fast paced, all of that. And on the left, this is a collection ad that we've ran for a wedding videographer. So it's like a video with 4 little buttons. So if you see, there's 4 little pop-ups at the bottom, and you click into it. It's like a landing page on Facebook itself that showcases your different products and services. So because collection ad is still fairly new to the market, so it actually captures a lot of attention, and we have gotten very, very low cost per click. So some people, if the benchmark for the wedding industry is $1 for people to click on this page, this ad only has about, like, you only need about 10 cents to get someone to click on this wedding client page. So it's amazing. It's a really, really great and immersive ad format. So I know it's a lot to consume for this part, but I just want to introduce a bit about Facebook ads. But if this is something that you have already been doing yourself, feel free to ask questions about how else you can talk more about it as well. Like, I'm not really going into like the analytics part or how you can optimize your ads or what sort of ad content you're creating, just because I know that in this audience there's a bit of some people who have done it, some people who have not. So I just want to keep it more concise in this part, but feel free to ask any questions about Facebook ads for this part as well. So
if you guys don't have any questions, we've come to the end of the workshop. It's a lot to take in from the feedback we've gotten from you guys. It's a lot to take in, and I can just imagine if I were you guys, it's sometimes a bit daunting because there's just so much going on. But fear not, everyone's capable of becoming experts in just about anything. We just need to have a bit of patience and just a bit of guidance as well from people. So don't be afraid to reach out. If it's not us, it's people around you in the business community. NVI is a really good community that you can reach out to. I'm part of the NVI community in Adelaide as well. I think as business owners, we can all help one another. So, so I'm gonna come into this with that kind of mindset of helping one another. And I know it's very tough, especially for an older person. So I can sympathize with you guys on that part, even though I'm younger. Yeah, I look really young too. That's why I'm trying to grow my mustache out. Yeah, but if you guys have any questions, this is my contact details. Feel free to reach me. Like, I'm quite generous with my time, and it's really a passion of mine to teach about social media. And I also really like to share with the older generation as well, because it's very foreign to a lot of them. Yeah, but again, please do not feel shy to reach out. It's very confusing. It's a lot to take in. But we're living in a time now where we have the most amazing advertising platform available to us. Like, there was no point in history where an advertising platform has been able to give us as much, giving us analytics that we can get for free. That means market research for free. There's never been a time where we've been able to market to people with such a low cost. We can compete with big brands, big companies because of social media. There never has been a time where there's more people focused on a particular platform. There's so many users in the world, in Australia, out there. So we got to take advantage of that. Otherwise, it's going to be very hard to stand out anymore. And if you guys really have issues with it, again, reach out, outsource it. Please have a chat with us. Like, for us, we help businesses who have issues with social media. We help people to manage their social media. We help people with creating the content. Like how we see ourselves being different is that we actually make the videos, we make the graphics. That's our real passion in creating the content we really care about brand storytelling, because I think the story itself is what's going to be able to differentiate you and be able to compete with the best in the world. It's that story that you guys have, that unique story. And also help with running ads for you guys, because for us, it's like after a certain point, you build that organic brand, but then how do you reach people that's not your followers? And that's the next stage, basically, being able to run ads and reach people. And we've seen like really amazing results through it. So if you guys need any help in those areas, please reach out. If you just need advice, please again reach out. Like there's no strings attached. I just really like talking, and I really like talking with older people as well.